Hello once again out there to my fellow Fix-It employees. Welcome back to another episode of How to Satisfactory 1.0. My no-nonsense, in-depth tutorial on playing the game. Now, I just want to make it clear there is no one specific way to play Satisfactory. You can play the game however you want. There are many different paths that you can take and many different ways of achieving what you want to do. It's all in how you want to play it out. But if you're brand new to the game and you're struggling maybe just a little bit and you're just looking for someone to just show you what to do, well, then this is the series for you. As I'm going to be taking you guys step by step from landing on the planet to creating the most grandiose factory that we can do. And along the way, hopefully you guys learn something that you can use in your own playthroughs. In the first episode, I took you through setting up a brand new game, landing on the planet. We took a look at some of the local wildlife and how to defend yourself from it. And we started the process of setting up the hub, which is going to be the center of your factory. There are a total of 6 total upgrades for the hub to go through. In the first episode, we went through the first 3. And now here in episode 2, we're going to be continuing from where we left off. Alright, so right now, what I kind of want to do is take a mulligan. Because just like in the intro, Fix-It is all about solving long-term problems with short-term solutions, and that's kind of what I did. I may have placed down the hub and everything we have here in maybe a wrong location. I think this is prime real estate right here to actually put our construction machines instead of the hub. So what I want to do is we're just going to remove the hub and remove the equipment workshop. So most likely while you're playing the game, it probably won't be the first time or last time that you end up setting down the hub and then end up having to move it sometime later on. Let's also get rid of the smelter because we're going to redo all of that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put our hub up here on this level where our copper node is kind of up here, just a little bit higher up, and that way we can use all of this more flat ground down here for our construction. There is a small problem of there being a bunch of rocks up here though, kind of in our way, and we can't do anything about them right now, though we can later, just right now we can't. I'm going to try to fit it kind of in between these rocks right here if I can. And here's a little trick that the game actually doesn't tell you about, though it is listed on the screen right now. The tutorial doesn't say anything about it. Down on the bottom, you can see the different menu options here that you have while building, such as build with your left mouse button, rotating the hologram, snap mode, and then there's one right there that says lock hologram. So you can do this by hitting your H key. And what that does is if I hit that, now I can move around and kind of get an idea of what everything looks like without moving the actual hologram itself of the build. So now looking at this, I can see it's kind of jutting off the edge right here. So let's see, can I fix this in any way? I can actually. So here's another thing we can do. You can nudge things using the arrow keys. So if I just kind of tap the left arrow right there, you can see I nudged it back a little bit. Let's see how that looks up here now. You know, it's still on the corner, but it's not terrible. Let me go up here. Can I just move this one more back? You know what? I think that'll probably be fine. Yes, it's going to be on that rock a little bit, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and place this. Let's see what happens. All right, all in all, that's not too terrible. I kind of like this. All right, so let's go ahead and put our equipment workshop up as well. I'm going to put this more or less out of the way too. Let's see if I can get that kind of right here by these rocks. That should be fine right there. There we go. Now we got our hub and equipment workshop replaced in a different area, freeing up all this extra space down here. So when you do remove the hub and then place it down again, you're going to notice all the exclamation points here are back that, you know, are talking about the biomass burner. We've got our construction bench over here again, the hub terminal. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go in here and click E on everything just to get these out of our way. There we go. So anything that was in the storage box is now going to be in your inventory. So remember we put those alien hog remains in the storage box earlier? Well, now they're back in my inventory now. And we also need to put our biomass back into our biomass burner, in this case being our leaves. So I'll throw another 500 in there like that. And now we can get back to building. So we need to keep upgrading our hub until we get to level 6. So we just unlocked hub upgrade 3, which gave us the brand new machine here, the constructor, which allows us to take the ingots that we make and then turn those into simple constructibles such as the iron plates, the iron rods, the wire. We can make all of that in a constructor. We have the power poles now, which we can use to stretch out our power a little further away than just being connected only to the one biomass burner. We can now make concrete with the scannable resource limestone that we can scan for now. We can turn iron rods into screws, and we can also make a separate kind of piece here which combines two different materials into one. This takes iron plates and iron rods and it makes these reinforced iron plates right here. So before we move on to upgrade 4, let's go ahead and play around with our new stuff here. Alright, so far we have been handcrafting all the pieces that we need in order to make everything. But what we really want to do is we really want to do automation. Every time we progress, we're going to get new machines, and all these machines are just for that purpose, just to start automating the production line. That's what Satisfactory really is all about. It's a factory line and building factory lines to make the pieces we need to make more things. Alright, so now let's take a look at our brand new resource, limestone. In order to find that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold down V once again to bring up our scannable menu. And now you see we have a new resource to scan for, and that is the limestone here. Let's go ahead and choose that. Let go of V, and boom, baby. Alright, so that scan line is going to go out, and we got it right away. It's like right there, not too far away at all. So this kind of whitish tan stone formation here, this is a limestone node. You'll notice that this one's going to act a little different than the other ones we've seen. So first thing we'll do is we'll chip away at the top rock here. And then unlike the iron or the copper that we've seen so far, this one leaves a little bit of a mound of rock still kind of left behind. Not a problem though. We can still put a portable miner down on it. And actually looking at this node, this one is an impure node, which means we're not going to get that much out of it, but we still need it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put 2 of the portable miners down. There we go. Now it's starting to almost look like Drake's house. All right, so with the limestone that we already have, let's head back over here to our crafting bench. Go in here, and now you can see we can make concrete straight out of the limestone. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. We also see the other 2 new items that we can make in here now as well. Screws, which are made from iron rods, and reinforced plates, which I made a mistake earlier when I said they're made from plates and rods, but they're actually made from plates and screws. So we need to make a few screws here real quick. And now with the screws and plates in our inventory, we can go ahead and combine those to make these reinforced iron plates. I'm going to make about 4 of them. Now I do want to get a few more iron rods here and just a few more cables as well. And then we can come back over here and we can start using all this area we cleared up here for construction. So the first thing we'll need is power. I'm going to hit my number 2 hotkey on my keyboard. That's going to bring up the power wire. And then I'm going to connect that to the biomass burner there. And then you can see something new here. This is the Mark 1 power pole. The Mark 1 power pole can have at least 4 lines connected to it. So I'm just going to run this down to right about here. Then we're going to go into our production menu. Let's grab a smelter. Let's place one of those down with it facing away from us, so the input is facing towards us right here. I'll just do it right there. Seems like a fine place. Then let's go back, and then we're going to choose our constructor. We're going to build one of those, and I'm going to face that the opposite direction, so with the input on the other side like that. And we'll just kind of try to get that next to it. Usually you can kind of hold down control and these guys will line up, but I guess that's something we're going to unlock shortly. It doesn't seem to do it now, or maybe it just needs foundations. Either way, I'm going to pop one of those right next to our first smelter right there, and then I'm going to do another one right next to that. Oh, there it is. All right, so I'm holding down control. You can see here, I can place it right next to each other there. And then I'm going to hover over top of the constructor, and what I'm going to do now may surprise you. I'm going to click down on my middle mouse wheel, and then I just copied the smelter. So instead of having to go into our build menu and choose what I want to build, I can just point at something and then click my mouse wheel, and it will bring up a hologram of a copy of that. So I'm going to turn that the opposite direction like so, and we're just going to place that right there next to, yep, I'm holding down control and it won't match that. So it must just be matching things that are equal or the same thing. Either way, just going to place it down next to our second constructor here. Going to hit the number 2 hotkey once again to bring up our power line. Let's bring that all the way over here. Let's go to the other side of our constructors here, and let's place that right in between these 2 guys, like so. And then we'll connect a power line from that pole to each of our constructors here. I'll then come back to the other side, and I'll place another wire going from our first power pole we placed into our first smelter, and another going to our second smelter here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our machines. So our first one down here, since it is closer to our iron, I'm going to make this the iron smelter. So I'm going to highlight it. We're going to hit E to configure the smelter. I'm going to choose iron ingot. And then, well, we don't really have any. No, I don't. I have copper ore, but I don't have any iron ore. So I'll go grab that in a minute. We'll then come over here to our second smelter we placed down. Press E to configure. This one we're going to do copper ingots in. And this one I do have the material for. So I'll go ahead and place that copper ore. And you can see it immediately starts working, making our copper ingots for us. So currently we don't have access to conveyor belts, which means anything we're making in these machines is just going to sit there until we get it out by hand. Alright, so the constructor here that is placed next to the one making our copper ingots, I'm going to press E to configure this one. You can see we can make different recipes here. One of those is the wire. Since the wire is the first thing we can make using the copper, we're going to go ahead and choose that. And then if we had any copper ingots on us, we could take those, put it in there, and it would start automatically making us some copper wire. I'm going to turn my attention back to the iron real quick though. I'm going to go over here to our miner. We'll grab 100 iron out of that. Head back over to the iron ore smelter. We'll then plop down the iron ore into that. There we go. And now we're making iron ingots. Now you notice the light bars on the machines here with different colors? That basically means different things depending on the color. Yellow is telling us a warning that there's an issue with the machine. For example, right now I would say that this one is out of the copper ore, so it's going to need more of that. That one doesn't have any ingots, so that's why it's not working. That constructor right there is red. That could mean either it's not powered or it doesn't have a recipe. And green means it's working as intended. Now let's head back up to our hub terminal real quick, and let's go ahead to hub upgrade 4, which is going to get us the conveyor poles, conveyor belts, and another 3 inventory slots. That's always nice to have, carrying around lots more inventory. It's going to come at a cost though of 75 iron plates, 20 cables, and 10 limestone. 20 cables and 10 limestone, that's easy enough, but 75 iron plates, that's where our automation process is going to come in handy at. I'll go ahead and select that milestone right there. Head over to our copper node, grab some copper out of our portable miner right there. Head back to the copper smelter, and we'll place that copper in there, and we'll grab the copper ingots out. Take these, put these into this machine here. That's going to start making us some wire. Let's come down here to the iron smelter, grab the iron ingots out of that, and then we'll place them into this constructor here. But first we need to choose a recipe. So since we need 75 iron plates, that's the obvious recipe that we're going to want to make here. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then plop those iron ingots into that and get those plates being made. You can see here it's going to be making 20 per minute. You can also see how much power each of these machines is using here in the middle too. So you can see we're using 4 megawatts every 6 seconds. I'll go ahead and refill my iron smelter up with some more ore, and then head over to our limestone. And another little trick here I want to show you guys is how to move around a little faster in the game. So if you hold down shift, you can run. If you hold C, you slide while you're running. If you do that constantly, like that, and just kind of jump in the middle of your slides, you can move a little faster. It will take a little bit of getting used to, but it actually does great in the beginning of the game for moving around quicker. All right, let's grab some limestone out of our 2 portable miners here. Come back over to our crafting bench, and let's just start manually making some concrete out of that. I'll also go ahead and grab some of this wire we'll be making by just highlighting it, holding shift, clicking, and that puts all of it into our inventory there. And then we'll go ahead and start crafting some cable out of that as well. All right, so we now have the concrete and we've got the cable we need. Let's go ahead and check on our iron plates and see how many we got of that. Almost enough. We'll just grab some more iron ingots, fill up our constructor, and then we'll grab some more iron from our portable miner and fill up the iron ore smelter. While we're waiting for more plates to get made, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and fill up our power as well with some more leaves. You can also see here I have 2 different slots of leaves now, so I'm just going to hit sort down here to combine those, and I mean we still have 2, but now we have 1 that's less. Grab another 30 plates for a total of 94. That's the 75 we need. Back to the hub, and I'm going to hold down control, and we'll just click each of these things at the top and throw them all in there, and then upgrade our hub. All right, so now that gives us access to conveyor poles, conveyor belts, and more inventory slots. We're immediately going to put those conveyor belts to use. Let's come over here to our production. Let's grab a few plates out of here. And if you look down at the bottom of the screen, you can see the conveyor belts and poles are now in our hotbar. So we can just hit the number 3, and we can just connect straight from our smelter right over here to our constructor. But if you look right there underneath of where it says currently building conveyor belt Mark 1, you'll see a thing that says build mode default. If we hit the letter R on our keyboard, we change that to straight. This is a brand new feature that was just added to Satisfactory 1.0. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of that. With the conveyor belt added, the ingots from the smelter are automatically going to feed from there straight into the constructor to make our plates. We no longer have to go over here, grab the ingots out, put them in there by hand. Let's do the same thing here with this smelter for our copper, going over into our wire. So as of right now, the only thing we need to do by hand is just go grab the ore and throw it into the smelters. We won't have to do this very much longer though, as very soon we'll have access to the machine miners. With Hub Upgrade 4, the hub actually got a few more pieces added to it as well, starting to come together quite nicely. And if we look inside here, we can see that this place is starting to look more like a home. Got some nice plants in here now for decoration, some reading material in here for when you're using company time, and a nice new computer terminal in here as well, where you can actually sit and play Fix-It Productive Packer Deluxe. It's a game within a game. It's Gameception. Alright, let's move on to Hub Upgrade number 5. Let's see what we're going to need for that and get out of it. So we're going to need 75 iron rods, we're going to need 50 cable, and 20 concrete. Once we complete the upgrade, we'll have access to the miner Mark 1, so we can get rid of the portable miners. We'll have a storage container where we can put all of the stuff we're making, and another 3 inventory slots. Let's go ahead and select that milestone. We need to get those iron rods into production though, so I'm going to take our machine here that is making the iron plates. I'm going to go in here, we're going to say select recipe, and we're going to change that from iron plates to iron rods. No worries, as long as your inventory is not full, anything that was in there is now going to be actually in your inventory. While we're waiting on those 75 iron rods, I will make sure to keep our power on by putting more leaves and stuff in there, and we'll keep the smelters fed with the ore. I'll also go ahead and head over here, grab some more limestone to make more concrete too. Now if I wanted to, I could add a constructor over here and just feed the limestone into it and produce the concrete that way, but that's going to take almost as much power as we're actually making, and I don't want to overdo our power system just yet. Once we have enough of the iron rods, we'll grab those, we'll grab a little bit of wire over here too, and then head back up to our crafting bench. We'll make sure to make the 50 cable we need, step over to the hub terminal, drop everything in there, and upgrade the hub again. All right, now let's head over to our iron node here and go into our build menu, and then we'll see we have the brand new Mark 1 miner that we can now build. In order to build one of these, we're going to need 10 concrete, 10 iron plates, and a portable miner. Whoa, looky there. There just happens to be one here. So let's go ahead and pick him up along with all of his iron, and then let's go back into the build menu, choose the miner Mark 1, and then we can place it down on the node. Now, I'm going to place this with the output kind of facing down towards where our smelters and stuff are. Once I get the rotation about where I want it, I'll go ahead and plop that down. Then let's put a conveyor belt going from the miner all the way into our iron smelter up here. We'll have to bring this out about as straight as we can, only so far. So if I hold down Control, you can see here that it is now just going straight. It's not turning to the left or the right. So I'll bring this to right about there. I'll then come up here to our smelter, and I'll bring one out from here to right about there. And then we'll just connect these together. But you know what? I don't like the way that's looking, so let's hit R to turn that back to just default build mode there. There we go. Now that miner right there is actually going to be needing power itself. So luckily, with the last upgrade on the hub, we got another biomass burner right here. So we need to connect that up. However, this power pole right here already has 4 lines connected to it. So whatever will we do? Well, I'm going to hold my mouse over top of it. I'm going to click the middle mouse wheel. We'll copy that. And then I'm going to take that pole and we're going to just put it on the power line like that. You can see it's kind of added onto it. And we're going to click somewhere, anywhere on it, really doesn't matter. And then we can actually take this power pole right here, add it right there, and build it in line with the rest of the lines here. We can then connect that biomass burner to this power pole, and we can even run another line going from this power pole down this way towards our miner. And then we'll just connect up the miner there. Chances are we are probably out of power. So let's go ahead and fill both of these guys up with some leaves, and then we'll pull the lever to turn the power back on. Green light on the miner means it's a go. And there goes our precious iron ore on its way to turn into our ingots. Slowly but surely anyway, but as we progress through the game, we will get better, faster conveyor belts so we can move more stuff even faster. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here on our copper mine as well. So we'll go ahead, pick up our copper portable miner. We'll then place down our Mark 1 miner right there. I'll hit H to lock it into place so I can kind of see which direction it's going. I want to kind of get it facing towards the smelter right there that we have. And then I'll just connect up some temporary conveyor belts here. We're going to need some power, of course. So one power line from the miner. And there's not enough lines here on this pole, so I'm just going to disconnect that power line right there, grab another pole, put it right there in between those two, connect all three of these up like so, and then connect that middle one up to this pole. And that should now power our copper mine down there. Now that we got our copper ore and our iron ore flowing freely into our smelters without the need to have to go back and forth between the nodes, let's head back over here to our hub terminal. And let's look at hub upgrade number 6, the last one. So by completing hub upgrade 6, we're going to be able to build the space elevator. That's a huge project in and of itself right there. We'll also be able to make biomass. That is a new fuel type that we can use in our biomass burners, which will last longer. And we can make additional biomass burners themselves, plus more inventory slots. We are going to need 100 iron rods, 100 iron plates, 100 copper wire, and 50 concrete. Now I've already switched our constructor here over to making the plates, which looks like we have 170 in there already. So I'll go ahead and grab those, switch it back over to making more iron rods. I've also already got more than enough wire in there, and I even have our 50 concrete as well. And at this point, since we are going to have to wait for more iron rods anyway, we might as well go ahead and get a production chain of concrete going over here. So I'll go ahead and pick up both of my portable miners here. We'll plop down a Mark 1 miner on top of that limestone node. And since in order to make concrete, we don't actually have to smelt the limestone, we can just go ahead and throw a constructor in here. Oh, but that's right. We're going to need more reinforced iron plates. Not a problem. I'll just make a few more of these. Head back over here. Plop down a constructor directly in front of that. So if I hold down control, I should get it right where I need it right there. One conveyor belt from there to there. Oh yeah, and we're going to need some power. So I'll go ahead and hit number 2 on my keyboard. We'll bring a power line down from there. Go ahead and connect that up to that constructor there too. And then we just got to feed that into the rest of our system here. This one right here in front of our 2 constructors should do fine. Of course, I've also got to tell our constructor what to make, so we'll hit E to configure that, and we'll choose concrete. Of course, when I picked up those 2 miners, I ended up picking up the limestone along with them, so I'm just going to go back into our constructor here, and look at all that limestone I've got. I'm going to go ahead and just throw all of that in there. Since that's an impure node, that thing is feeding quite slowly. And with the rest of my spare time, it's just a matter of picking up some leaves so we can keep feeding those biomass burners. In the beginning of the game, it's all about feeding the machine here. And of course, it goes without saying, the more machines we're actually using, the faster our leaves are going to get burned up. Alright, so now we should have enough iron rods made. I'll go ahead and grab those. And along with everything else we're going to need, I'll plop everything into the terminal. And we're going to do our final hub upgrade. And now this is the first time you're going to get to see our little transport ship, which is what the hub is actually for. It's just a landing dock for this guy. And with hub upgrade 6, we can now make biomass. So we're going to come over here to the crafting bench, and you can make it out of leaves, or you can make it out of wood. So making the biomass is much better than actually using the materials by themselves. When you feed this into the biomass burner, it burns slower, and you're going to get better power out of it. So now's a great time to start going ahead and converting all of that into the biomass. And then go ahead and swap the biomass into your burners. You can also see here currently our maximum capacity that we have with these 2 biomass burners is 40 megawatts. But now in our build menu, if you go down here to power, you can see we can actually make biomass burners by themselves. And the best thing about these new biomass burners is in 1.0, you can feed conveyor belts into them. So like I said, that was the end of all the hub upgrades, but there's a lot more to unlock. If we look in the hub terminal now, you can see we now have tier 1 and tier 2, and with lots of things underneath of those 2. But all of that, my friends, is actually for another episode. So if you're a brand new Fix-It employee and you're playing along with me using this guide, or you're an experienced Satisfactory player and you just want to see what I do next, and what my big grand plan is for the factory, well, keep tuning in to the next episodes. As I said previously, I'm going to try to get them out as often as I can, but I do work 10-hour shifts 4 days a week, so I don't have a whole lot of time by the time I get home to do any recording. But I am going to try my best to get the episodes out as fast as possible. Also, if you have any questions at all about the game, make sure to put those in the comments down below. I love to hear them, and I will do my best to try to answer them for you. But for now, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and I'll see you in the next episode.